I got some
See, yeah, I'm going to sign off, but what he's doing is he's losing his wingman. So right now, for now,
I'm anxious.
So Matt, Tammy, somebody, to just do that. But Dave's an open book, and just a fantastic human being. So his story is impactful. Please ask questions. He'll answer anything. I'm sure he'll even at some point throw his, everybody's got it, his link to his book on that. So guys, listen, have fun, and we'll see you next week.
Bye,
Thanks.
Jeff.
Have a press your interview, buddy. Good luck, man. Go get him.
So anyway, listen, today I want to introduce Dave Dequeljoe. And he is a United States Naval, he graduated from the United States Naval Academy, also was a nuclear engineer, also was an F-14B Tomcat pilot, and his nickname is the Hurricane, right?
Yeah.
And I think what is so touching to me is to hear with this incredible resume, you still hit a very tough time. And this can happen to anybody. I think that is the lesson. And I really appreciate you coming on just to share your story and have this conversation with us, because it tells us that anybody can have a tough time and anybody can come out of it too. And you're a great example. I do have all of Dave's, his website. He has a book out too. I want to put a plug in for that. It's called Dog Fighting Depression. And his heart is so much to help others to overcome. Also went to his Angels 14 coffee group today with Jeffrey Knight, and it was fantastic. It was really giving people the nuggets to be a great leader, to really make more leaders in this world. So anyway, Dave, I'm going to hand it over to you. Thank you so much. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate that awesome intro. I'm so anxious on this one. I want to make this class the best it can be. And so I just really don't like long, boring intros. Like, so I'd prefer not to talk at all. I'd prefer to just answer questions and we can just have a conversation. So Michael, Tony, Tiffany, Ted, April, Tammy, Matt, great to meet y'all. And let's just have a fun conversation. I'd love to give you everything that I've learned over the couple of years through this tough period, but I'd much more rather come out organically than me just start talking about myself. So I had my friend Matt Murphy, who's a great wingman here. Met him at Angels 14, super cool guy, really brilliant guy. He actually gave me some great advice right before this video started, and so I'll share it with y'all because this is really powerful. He said, it's really cool, let the interactions drive the story. This is from his advice from a storytelling class. But what's the first dot on the canvas? And so that inspired me to write down something. And something that I've learned over the past couple of years going through a real tough period is give everything you've got with no expectations in return. Give everything you have with no expectations in return, and all of a sudden, the world just gets beautiful. I promise you it does. This screenshot behind me, a buddy of mine sent it to me. I'm actually in Top Gun 2 Maverick while I was homeless. And the only reason why I'm in this thing, besides pure luck, was I'm convinced just because I just started helping people as much as I could wherever I went. And just awesome things happened to me. And it was a dream come true. My mom took me to see Top Gun when I was like 12 years old. I never thought I'd be a fighter pilot. I didn't either. But so to be in Top Gun 2, standing right next to Tom Cruise and Jennifer Connelly was amazing. So I'm not really in the shot. The director did give me direction. He did say, get out of the way. But he did actually talk to me personally. So I'm in the movie. You'll see my head right next to in the bar scene. The bar is called The Hard Deck. It's a great movie, hopefully. But anyways, with that, I'd love to meet you guys and learn from y'all. Another great quote that you might really love is the person that learns the most in every room is the teacher. The person that learns the most in every room is a teacher. I love that quote. So I just challenge y'all to learn from each other and learn as much as you can from this, and I'll give you everything I got. But I just ask that you ask me the toughest questions you could think of, and I'll just do my best. Let's rock. Who's up first? Don't rush.
Hey, Dave, I'll throw one at you. So we know, or at least many of us know, that it's difficult to manage emotions when you're not feeling great about what's going on personally or in your environment. What do you think changed your emotional state to let you focus or prompt you to focus on giving to others and making it those very first steps forward out of the place you didn't want to stay?
Great question, man. I think the hardest part was I had to give a speech one time up in Gig Harbor for a prayer breakfast for veterans, raising money for veterans. Allow myself to introduce myself, but I had to give this speech, and my agent actually called me out on it. He said, "Hey, you're never gonna give." I gave him the intro of the speech I was gonna give, and he's like, "Hey, dude, this stinks." He's like, "Right now, your speech is cowardly." He's like, "I know you know how to be courageous, but right now, you're just talking about how cool you are, like all fighter pilots like to do. I mean, right?" But like, so he's like, "That's not going to connect with the audience. In order to connect with the audience, you have to do something that you probably hate to do, and that's be vulnerable." And I used to think being vulnerable was a big weakness in the squadron. Certainly, any weakness is exploited mercilessly, ruthlessly, and it's all about winning in the squadron. But I've found that in relationships, which is everything, it's all about being collaborative. And being collaborative means making a connection and relating to people as a human being. And so if you can say, "Hey, here's a time when I fell," everyone can be like, "Hey, I had a time when I fell too. You're like me." And then you have a connection now all of a sudden. But if you try to come and be like, "Hey, I'm awesome, I'm better than you," no one's going to listen. And they're going to think you're an asshole. Also, oops, sorry for cursing. So that to me is the hardest part of all this, is being about being a leader. As I never thought being a leader meant being vulnerable. But now that I realize that the more vulnerable, I thought when I gave that speech, as I'll never get hired again. No one's ever going to love me again. All my friends are going to make fun of me. But it was just so important for me to tell a story so that someone could hopefully learn from that and live where they might not have, hopefully. That it was so important for me to do that it was worth me just giving up everything. But as the opposite happened, after I gave that speech, my life just got infinitely better. And people that I never thought would say anything said to me, "Hey man, this meant a lot to me," and this, XYZ. Like the letters that I get now, Matt Murphy, almost on a regular basis, would just make me cry every night. Like the things that people say to me, you would never guess. And so the lesson I learned from all that is that you never know who needs you. So act as if everyone does. Great question, Matt.
Thanks.
Hi, Dave. It's April.
Hi, April.
Hi. So I just really enjoyed your group today, and when we talked about your vision and purpose and the importance of it. Would you like to share what your vision and purpose is?
Oh, okay. Great question. First of all, April Knight is fantastic. She did show up at our Angels 14 this morning. She was great. Everyone's welcome, by the way, if you ever want to come. We always welcome that. The purpose is camaraderie, community connection. And so the whole purpose is to have a fun place for us to talk about whatever, usually leadership, tech, but also emotional stuff. So we work through it with humor and fun. So you're always welcome to come. That's an F for everybody. But I do have 3 purposes that help me tremendously. And I think as I was teaching today, there's a great expression I love. When you teach, you learn twice. When you teach, you learn twice. It was written on a watercolor painting my dad got for me when I was like 13. It was really cool. But anyways, so in teaching this vision, the topic today was vision and purpose. And in teaching that, I really thought about what makes this so, why should everyone have their own purpose and their own kind of mission statement and vision? And the reason is, I think, is to make more of a positive impact on the world. If you have it dialed in exactly what you're trying to do, you have way more likely to get there, and you can repeat it, kind of like a magic spell in Harry Potter, or like, as they say, repetition doesn't spoil the prayer. The more you can say it, what you're trying to do clearly and specifically, the more you can dial it in and just really make that happen. So I do have 3 purposes or mission. To me, they're the same thing. So the 3, I'll tell you what they are. Hopefully they're not too boring for you. The first one at work, which helps me a lot, especially when students like Matt Murphy get a little bit lippy and they make it difficult for me. This purpose statement helps me remember what I'm trying to do. And the purpose at work I have is, a leader's true mission is to create more leaders. A leader's true mission is to create more leaders. That reminds me to be generous, even when Matt Murphy's being difficult with me, let's say in class. And it reminds me to just give of myself selflessly, in that I'm not trying to just teach him some cool stuff, and I'm not trying to have him learn some cool stuff. I want him to be able to go apply what I've taught him in real life, so he can go make a positive impact also and accomplish whatever his personal mission is. So that's my first one, which I love. My second one, which I've kind of is the newest one, but I'll just say it in order because the last one will probably be more dramatic. The second one is to unlock the world's potential, specifically by noticing what's best in people, by going straight to what's best in every situation and trying to make the best out of every moment you have. You only ever have the moment in front of you. You're not guaranteed, obviously, the moment after this. So having almost died a bunch of times in New York City when I grew up, and also in combat, you never guaranteed another moment. So make the very best every moment you get. And so seeing what's best in people helps encourage them. People usually don't do stuff, I've found, because they're afraid or they've had bad experiences. So you just encourage them. Just takes a second for you to encourage them, but then it leaves them lighter and with more airspeed than ever. So I just really like that one. And also the kind of related to this mission is to increase hope and decrease suffering by doing all those things. That's kind of not really tightly worded yet. So it's the opposite of what I just told you. It's not exactly quite crystal clear yet, but I'm working on it. The last one I really love, and I just rewrote this morning, so hopefully I remember it all, is to encourage and inspire. Hopefully y'all still with me here. This is not too boring, hopefully. The last mission is to, thanks Sarah for just one person nodded, that's all I needed. The last mission is to encourage and inspire people to overcome internal resistance and fear, so they have the courage to share, to be authentically who they really are, the self-awareness to find out what their own purpose and mission and core values and gifts are, and then really kind of the trust to give that selflessly, no matter what, knowing that it's going to work counterintuitively. It's really going to work out better for everybody. So those are my 3 mission statements. It helps guide my actions tremendously, and it helps give me a lot more power, especially when times get rough, which they pretty much always are now. So, but having a purpose statement like that, or 3 of them specifically, really helps guide my actions and helps kind of when I get out of bed and I'm not feeling that great, like, all right, I got something to do that's more important than just me, having some cookie crisp or whatever, So I've also found that the more you focus on yourself, it's a never ending battle. You'll never get enough, awesome cars and awesome houses, and you'd just be empty. Like before I was homeless, I was independently wealthy. I wasn't rich, but I didn't have to work anymore, and I was miserable. And so that's not the answer. There's a great quote actually from Jim Carrey. He said, "I wish people could have all the cars and fame and women and everything in the world that they want, and realize that's not the answer." And he's right. You can have all that stuff, and that doesn't really do anything for you. You have to have something that really fulfills you on a soul level. And so finding out what that is and then doing that is the most rewarding thing I could ever tell you. Just trust me. just gotta trust me. Leap of faith, like Enter the Spider-Verse, you just go for it. And it's always going to be scary. There's always going to be reasons why you shouldn't do it. But once you start doing it, life gets so beautiful. If you learn one thing today, just start sharing what you got and just max it out. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail, but that's all part of it. That's part of it. So anyways, hopefully that helps. Great question, April. Hopefully I answered your question.
Dave, I'm amazed. Just again, it's like you are like a fighter pilot. It just seems like everything you do is like Mach, whatever the term is. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, just 1,000 miles an hour or whatever.
That's fair. I'm actually talking a lot slower than I normally do because people always yell at me I talk too fast, and so the recording is making me nervous. I'm trying to really slow down energy. So hopefully
you're doing great, but I can just see that's your personality, that everything you do is like 1,000 miles an hour. And so I'd love to hear, you had all the success in the military and then you were independently wealthy. And then you said just now before you were homeless. What happened? What was your mindset? What physically happened? What shifted in you before your life changed?
Great question. So a lot. The first thing I think is that I just kind of had like a twisted view of what a man should be and a twisted view of what success looked like. And I was chasing the wrong things. I thought the American dream was all the things we just talked about, the cars and, hot women and, big, beautiful houses and all the things that you think are going to get you happiness. Because if you just get those things, you'll be worthy of being loved. And I guess growing up in New York City too, if you weren't the best, you were just nothing. And obviously New York City is a great place. I love New York City. But it is kind of like the best of the best. And if you're not the best, then they don't want to hear about you. So I no one really taught me that. I just interpreted that to be, if you're not the best, you're not worthy of being loved. And so where this combines with what happened was coming back from overseas, we were, I don't want to say we were the heroes, but we rescued some special forces soldiers. We got a bunch of medals and we're just feeling great. And we're used to being the ones that protect others. And so to come back and admit that something was wrong with me was something I was never willing to do. And so and at the time too, like all I knew about PTSD was in the movies when they're like having nightmares about, like shell shocks going stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't really have that. So I don't have PTSD. And so I was just like, I'm fine. And, but what PTSD is for me now that I realize that I guess I do have it, is just a hypervigilance, a constant checking of everything around you. And I never feel safe. I always feel like there's a threat around the corner. So I'm always in the car calling out tallies, and I'm always locking doors behind me. And so I think I didn't realize that the fear and the anxiety of danger or the over focusing on danger and preparing for combat basically never left me. And so I came home, but my soul remained in combat. And so, and also it was the only thing, it was such a big, important mission to defend the fleet. Obviously, fighter pilots think we're the best, but we, you know, our mission is to defend the fleet and defend everyone on the ground. That doesn't get much, to me, much more important than that. I mean, no offense, Army guys, but you know what I mean? To me, that was the best. And so to come back and just be a civilian was like so boring. And then to be chasing these things that I thought would bring me happiness, like all the houses, and have my own business and have all this money, and just to, you know, it was fun, but it didn't really bring me any fulfillment. So my life was so empty. And so I just, and then coupled on top of that with the, you can hear the pride and the ego and the arrogance. I was like, I got this, I'm fine. There's actually a really, not funny story, but a sad story, I guess, when you hear aviation mishaps and you watch the videos, the pilot's always like, I got it. And then there's actually a famous one, a helicopter. He actually said, I think it's a helicopter, or they're a low level plane in any case. And the guy's like, think I can make that tree or like go underneath the power line? And then the co-pilot's like, nope. I think it's an Apache actually. And the guy goes for it anyways, and they crash. And that's exactly what it was. Like, I'm never going to be the one to eject. I'm never going to be the one to say we can't do it. I'm just going to keep going until I can't anymore. And so I rode that train all the way to the last stop. It's not that great, by the way. Don't try it yourself. Not recommended. Just go ask for help. But for me, it was so impossible to go ask for help, because I was like, I don't need help. These other guys need more help. These other guys that are missing limbs, they need the VA care. I don't want to take up resources, and I'm good. I can do this on my own. And so it was just kind of like that stubbornness, I guess. It doesn't feel great to say that, but the stubbornness to not ask for help is, I thought asking for help was a weakness, and asking for help is actually really a strength, because it actually helps other people do their mission and their purpose that they're trying to help you. So it actually enables other people to fulfill their mission. Really important thing to do. So thinking about something, I teach leadership now, and one of the things we always try to tell our students is, hey, there's a great quote from the book called Tribe. I highly recommend this book. Book is called Tribe. And Sebastian Junger is the name of the author. And in the book, it goes, people don't mind hardships or challenges. They thrive under them. What they do mind is feeling unnecessary. I'll say it one more time. People don't mind hardships or challenges. They thrive under them. What they do mind is feeling unnecessary. And if you don't engage your team and ask them for their help and their opinion, they just feel unnecessary, and kind of morale engagement plunges. But when you ask for people's help, you get better answers than you can come up with yourself usually, because people are experts in what they do. And you can't be an expert in everything. Even though like fighter pilots think they're awesome at everything, I'm only really good at flying, and really not much else. Like, you can't really do anything else but fly. But believe me, I'm the best pilot you've ever seen. But everything else I'm terrible at. And so to have the humility to say, hey, you probably know more about this depression, PTSD thing than I do, and I shouldn't have to try to reinvent the wheel all myself. I can just learn from other people's. Was kind of like, sounds really basic to you probably, but in the moment for me it was like, nah, I can figure it all out myself. And I also felt pressure too that, hey, a leader should know everything, instead of, hey, the leader doesn't know, just has to know where to find it, instead of like, I felt pressure to be perfect. And I think it's that pressure to be perfect. Another book that's really good, Mindset by Carol Dweck, actually makes fun of fighter pilots directly. Thanks, Carol Dweck. But talking about the fixed mindset where you think you're awesome already, no more need to grow, versus a growth mindset where, hey, I can always learn and growing. So now I try to, in every meeting, except with Matt Murphy, and I try to learn and teach as much as I can in every meeting. And so that's why I love that quote before it. We talked about the person that learns the most in every room is the teacher, which I love. And teaching has taught me so much. Again, when you teach, learn twice. I would encourage everyone after this meeting, if you've learned anything, great. I don't need any kudos, but just try to teach what you've learned to someone else that might help them. That would be great. Did that answer your question, Sarah? Did I get there for you on that one?
You know what? That was fantastic. Oh my gosh, so many morsels. I wish I was typing, but I can't do two at the same time very easily. One of the questions also, just with all that piggybacking, is what would you do differently to fix it? If you could go back in time and fix anything, what would you do?
I think obviously coming back, I would have just, as soon as I realized there was a little bit of a problem and I wasn't doing that great with my relationships, I would have just said, hey, I probably should, read a book on this or talk to somebody instead of just being like, I got it. But I think that the one thing would just be, hey man, just talk about it with someone. Like things get worse in your mind in darkness. You imagine all kinds of terrible things. That's how like all kinds of bad things grow in darkness. But as soon as it hits the sunlight and you tell someone about it, perfect example, like I'll send you the link to the speech. It's on LinkedIn. You can find it on YouTube. It's like 5 minutes to save a life. It's called like that, at the Permission to Start Dreaming Foundation. But I wrote this speech to save someone's life. And if you've ever had to try to write a speech to save someone's life, that's really hard to do, by the way. It's not the easiest thing they've ever done. But the people always ask me, well, what was the conclusion of it? And the conclusion of it, shockingly, is to decide that you want to get better, decide that you want to live, decide that you want to fight, decide that you want to work your way through it. And then once you do, another of my favorite quotes is, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Just simply by you wanting to learn, the answers are, I promise you, are everywhere. They're everywhere. It's mind blowing how the answers. That's why people are saying, I just learned this thing today in coincidence. I see it everywhere. It was always everywhere. You just didn't see it. Perfect example, seems unrelated, was way back way I started learning about real estate. That's how I highly recommend, by the way, if you want to become wealthy, learn about real estate, get some books about real estate, just my advice. But so I was learning about real estate investing, and I was like, all of a sudden I started seeing signs for, properties for sale, like real estate for sale. I was like, oh man, it's such a coincidence. I just learned about this real estate thing today. And those signs were always there. I just never saw them. It didn't even occur to me to look at them because it didn't mean anything. So once you decide you want to learn about something, I promise you, the answers are everywhere. So hopefully that helps, Sarah. Is that a good answer to your question? Hopefully that helps.
It's so interesting to hear. I definitely want to give everybody else space to ask a question, but it's really interesting because I keep hearing the veterans coming on. It's like the shift happens, and then the doors start opening, like just what you're talking about. It's like that change of mind first, and then, so yeah, love that. Thank you.
I think En Vogue said that a couple years back. Free your mind, and the rest will follow. I can't sing. I know I can, but it's a random En Vogue reference. Probably people don't even know what that is. But anyways, it is true. It is the mindset thing. That's why I recommend the book Mindset by Carol Dweck. Really good book. There's a question in the chat here from Ted. Can I read that one out, Sarah? Okay, so Ted says, to everyone, I would love to ask a live question, but I'm working in open space today. Totally cool. My question for Dave is, what was your oh crap moment, the moment when you were at the fork in the road and decided to thrive and get back up? Great question. That moment was me falling asleep in my car, 28 degrees. I'll never forget it. And it was in New Canaan, small town in Connecticut. And trying to fall asleep in my car because I was homeless at the time, and it was looking pretty bleak. Had an old Navy blanket on, not a blanket from Old Navy, but a Navy blanket that's old. And so I was trying to get warm. And I didn't want to die of carbon monoxide or whatever, so I had the windows cracked. I don't know why I did that. It was freezing. And I remember in the dark, I was just feeling so hopeless. I'm like, man, how am I going to get out of this one? I like challenges, but this is extreme. This is pretty extraordinary. And I remember my mom's advice to me when I was a little kid. And she said, I'll never forget it. Please don't call me David, just my dad and my mom. My dad passed away this year. My mom passed away in flight school. But my mom said, David, the very best thing you can do when you're not feeling that great about yourself is look to help someone else out. The very best thing you can do when you're not feeling that great about yourself is look to help someone else out. And I remember it was like 6 or 7. I was like, Mom, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Save your mom stuff for yourself. I'm not really listening. I'd rather just watch Battlestar Galactica or whatever I'm doing. Like, I don't need your mom advice. But lesson to all the parents out there, tell your kids anyways, even if they roll their eyes, because it sinks in, and when they need it, it'll pop out. Like the light of Arindy or whatever in Lord of the Rings, when it gets the thing and it lights up, whatever. Whenever they need it, it'll pop up. So I was like, all right, I'm going to just start writing all this stuff down, and I'm going to start sending this out to people. So I started writing it down, and I would just give the book to everyone I met. I was like, hey, if you know any veterans, and like, yeah, I do. Like, can I email you this book? And I'm sure they thought I was crazy. And most people probably still do. I'm a little eccentric for sure. So they probably thought for sure I was crazy, but I did it. And then this is actually a true story. I was about to quit. I was about to stop. And I got this letter from a special forces guy in Afghanistan. This is a true story. He said, hey, dude, you don't know who I am, but I print your book out, and I'm also isolated from my son, and this is the only thing that's keeping me alive. And the reason why I get so upset every time I tell the story is because I almost quit. Right? Almost quit. If I didn't get that one email, I would have quit. Lesson 2 out there is, hey man, it matters. Everything you do matters. Everything you say, every word you do, everything you do matters. You just don't realize the impact until one day, like that day. And then I was like, shit, now I got to keep writing this book. I got to keep doing this thing. And so it's a lot, because it's a big responsibility, obviously. Like, and you don't want to be, who wants to be that guy that's like, hey man, I fell hard right on my face. Who wants to be that guy? But now like I finally like own it. Like, I'm that guy, because it has saved so many people after that. But the reason why I get so upset every time I tell a story, every single time I tell a story, I get upset because I almost quit. And courage is my favorite thing in the world. My 3 core values, I recommend everyone do a life story exercise. I'll tell you about it later. Courage, autonomy, and love. Those are my 3 core values. And so to have almost quit because I didn't have the courage to keep going, It makes me sick to my stomach every single time I tell that story. But like I said, this is why it's so important to let people know the impact that they're having on you specifically and sincerely. It's a form of encouragement. It's also a form of praise. Letting people know the impact that you're having on them. You don't know if they need it or not, but if they do, like I did that one day, I almost quit. And if I had quit, I would have just be living probably homeless somewhere, just miserable, hating life and hating everyone else out and thinking everyone else sucks and just not wanting to do anything for anybody else. But because I got that one little bit of airspeed when I needed it, rock and roll time. And now look, now my life is so beautiful. I just hope everyone could live the way I live, where you just get messages from people every day saying, hey man, thanks for changing my whole life. No kidding. I get messages like that every day now, every day. And when you get one of those messages, you're going to cry your eyes out and be like, I just want to do this all the time and just save people's lives. That's how powerful it feels. And then as a result, now everywhere I go, I get everything I need. I don't get everything I want, like the Rolling Stones song, but I get everything I need and I'm convinced it's just because I just help other people selflessly. That's the key. You can't expect anything in return. You can't just be like, hey, here's something. And then you wait like, oh, I didn't get anything. This sucks. It doesn't work. Like, it doesn't work like that somehow, but it comes back to you. I promise you it does. Hopefully that answers your question, my friend, Ted. I think that's a good answer. I got there on that one. All right, what's next? So, anyone else have a question? See, isn't the Q&A much more fun than just me talking? I think so.
I love what you're saying. You have so many golden nuggets. I mean, it's amazing. They come out so quickly. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is fantastic. That's really great. What an amazing story. Yeah, I could ask you a ton of questions and talk to you for 5 hours. So I always have to tell myself to be quiet so other people. Are we frozen here or is it me?
I thought I got kicked off. I was like, at the same time, like all of my windows popped up and I like have 1,000 windows open. So I thought I disconnected by accident. So I don't know what happened. It could have been me. It's probably my fault. So.
Oh, okay. It seemed like everybody froze, but anyway.
It could have been that too.
Zoom life.
Just as a recommendation, I definitely recommend everyone update their Zoom browser before you do a call, because it's always buggy. These things are, no offense, Zoom, if you're listening out there, but they're super buggy. So just try to update your Zoom browser whenever you host meetings if you can. Oh. No, it's not your fault. This is Zoom's fault, but just as a tip.
Yeah.
All right. So what were you saying? You were saying something nice to me. I appreciate it. Yeah, so thank you for that. What other questions do we have? That's more important.
Hi, Dave. It's April again.
April.
I don't really have any questions at the moment, but I just want to tell you that just by meeting you today, I can definitely see that you are definitely an encourager, and it's something that we all need to hear. And your story makes me cry.
I know, right? It makes me cry every time too. Honestly, April, when the video, this probably sounds super egotistical. I'm a little bit egotistical, but every time I watch the speech I gave in Seattle, I cry every single time. I'm like, that's a good speech. I'll send it to you. I'll have the link. It's on LinkedIn. I'll send it to you. I appreciate that, April. Thank you so much for that.
Because I think because this is geared toward like Army stuff. But we all go through things, right? And so it's not just Army, it's life. And my child is going through depression right now too. And so I'm just encouraged by your stories. So thank you.
Hey, April, thank you so much. Send me a little message here, or you can I'll put my cell phone at 757-575-4027 for anyone out there who watches this recording, all 3 people that watch it. You can send me a text. I'll send you the book for free. No questions asked. Hopefully, I've had some people actually tell me it helps their kids, especially kids with creative brains. I obviously have a creative brain, so it helps. It has helped them tremendously. So I just feel like it's kind of like the X-Men. I used to love the comic when I was a kid. The movies, not so much, but the comic book as a kid I used to love, because it's all about basically when you have, I think, a really powerful brain, not to be a jerk, but it's hard to control it. It's hard to really figure out everything. And we all have powerful brains. And so learning how to discipline it and control it and maximize it is very difficult. And so the book is not only about fighting depression, it's also how to like live a beautiful life and how to max it out and how to just really enjoy everything. So April, send me a little message, text me a message, and I'll send you the link or the book, and you'll be ready to rock and roll. And I'd be happy to talk to your kid whenever they want to. You can do it. It's just, you just don't know how to do it yet. That's the message that I would give to your kid if I could give one right now is, you don't know how to control this yet. But let me give you a quote from my mom, April. Are you interested in this quote from my mom?
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, so I was going to tell you anyways, but it's just nice to have they were really excited about it first. So she said, David, again, please don't call me David. She said, David, the very best day in your life will be when what you perceive to be your greatest weakness is actually your greatest strength. I'll say it one more time. Your greatest day will be when what you perceive to be your greatest weakness is actually your greatest strength. For many years, I thought my greatest weakness was just I couldn't control my brain. It was just all over the place. And now that I've harnessed it a little bit, I realize that it's my greatest strength. And so, and also too, about like caring about people. I used to ask my dad all the time. Both my mom was a nurse, my dad was an immigrant. Just really used to care of people. And I remember asking my dad one time. He's like, "Why do you stop and talk to everyone? Like, we got other things to do. Like, this is taking so much time. It takes forever to get everywhere because they always want to do stop and talk to people." He's like, "David, you don't get it yet." He's like, it's just more about than just you. And I didn't get it time. I was like, 11. I was like, this is stupid. I want to just go do something more fun. But when you realize that we're all connected, and I believe that we all are, and when you realize, hopefully, that the way you treat others is the way you treat yourself, you will change the way you behave yourself. I promise you will. And so for your kid, just say, hey, man, I mean, it's something we all go through. You're not escaping this world without pain. That's just part of it. Mm-hmm. And you can still try to live with joy every day. And so finding how to have joy in the middle of chaos is the best thing I can teach from this book. How to find joy no matter what. I'll never forget it. It was a day in Westport, Connecticut. Also Connecticut. This is when I did a lot of my time being homeless. Was spent running around Connecticut. I remember saying to myself one morning, I'm like, you know what? I'm making a promise to myself right now that no matter what, because I'm having a fun time this morning, no matter what, I'm going to try to find joy in every day and every moment that I can, and try to help other people find it too. And you can. Being homeless was actually the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I learned so much from it, and I had so much fun. I was in Top Gun. All these great things happened. I flew someone's private plane in California. Like, you would not believe the things that happened to me when I was homeless. This is not your normal homeless experience, but I'm convinced it's just because, like, even when I was homeless, I was just walking around helping people. And so someone that saw me must have been like, who is this guy? You know what I mean? Like, who is this guy? And so people hooked me up. But I'm convinced it was because of all the things I did for people. I can't prove it. But it's like I have like little Disney princesses from Cinderella flying around me, just protecting me all the time, because I've just made it through the most amazing narrow misses my whole life. But I don't know. It's just my theory. I don't know. It's just a guess. Anyways, hopefully it helps. What was your question? Did you answer your question? I don't know.
Would you like to elaborate on some of those experiences?
Which ones are you curious about? Thanks for the comment, Tammy, in the chat. I appreciate that.
You said that you learned mostly, or what was it? You had the best experiences as being homeless.
Yeah.
Like what made that the best experience?
I think if you look at my 3 core values, courage, autonomy, and love, the courage to just try to live life anyways, even though I was homeless, and try to make it as good as I can for myself and others. And the autonomy, I love being free. And when you're free from the things that we normally have, bills and all that stuff, mm-hmm. I didn't have any, obviously, or if I had them, I wasn't paying them, but that's obviously not recommended. But having that freedom to just really think about who you are and what you want to do in this life was exhilarating. And I had a lot. I needed to heal up, so that's why I drove to California. I needed to just be by the water. By the way, the ocean water has negative ions. So does the shower water, which is why people usually think their best thoughts in the shower. So I highly recommend, if you're feeling depressed out there, cold water on the back of your neck or cold water from the ocean will help you, cheer you up. I'm not sure why, but it does. Cold water. I take a hot water and then hot water shower and then a cold water rinse every time, no matter if it's freezing cold out, because it just somehow cures depression. I don't know how. And then beyond the scope of my knowledge. And then the negative ions also help too. So I do my best thinking in the shower and also in the ocean. So just having some time to be out in the ocean and just get myself back in shape in all areas was glorious. And yeah, it was lonely, and I didn't know where I was gonna, sleep every night, but that was kind of fun too. And it just made an adventure out of it. I just it's just a fun, like The Hobbit. But I was by myself. It was the Fellowship of the Ring with one dude. But again, being alone is not, is just an illusion. I was never alone. I just thought I was. But man, there were so many people looking out for me. It's outrageous. There's no really reason why I'm still standing here other than there's just so many people looking out for me. It's great. So, and then when you realize that, you're like, oh, the world's actually a pretty beautiful place, despite all the nonsense that's going on. It's actually a gorgeous place. And if we could just kind of like quell all the noise in our head and all the things that we want to do personally, and just kind of try to help other people out, if everyone could get that way, it would just be even more beautiful. But hopefully does that answer your question? I don't know.
Yes, that goes along with what you were talking about earlier about the values outweighing your risk.
Yeah. Right? Oh, dude, that was a great comment. So for the people that weren't on the call before, that was my guy Tony. That was awesome. He was like saying, hey, when the value of what you're doing outweighs the risk of failure and the risk of and the fear of failure, that's what it's all about. And after that experience, and after the hardest thing I've ever done, April, was giving that speech. It took more courage than flying off the aircraft carrier at night, or landing on the aircraft carrier at night, or getting shot at in combat. Those things were relatively easy because you train for them and they were coming. You just kind of grit your teeth and just go for it. But having the courage to be vulnerable on stage in front of everybody, and then when it's going to be recorded, that's actually more courage to me. The emotional courage to be raw and tell people what your mistakes were. That takes a lot more courage than any kind of physical courage I've ever seen. So, and then once you've overcome that, it's kind of like you've heard the expression before, what you're afraid of most, you'll keep being presented with that until you overcome it. And then once you overcome it, like the courage gets easier. It's like courage is like a muscle. You know what I mean? People always say, like, how do you have so much confidence? Like, courage comes first. You have the courage to take risks, and people always say, oh, your life seems so easy. And like, that's not it. Like, I actually get tremendous social anxiety from speaking and being around people. I'm incredibly introverted. I just discovered that this year, by the way. Because I wanted to be extroverted my whole life. I was like, oh, extroverted people are cooler and more fun. I want to be that. But really, I'm actually introverted. I lose energy when I'm around with a lot of people. It just drains me. And so I get more energy by reading and writing, listening to music, and doing that, playing sports even by myself. And so, but once you get the courage to do it and make a bunch of mistakes, that's why I say you're going to fail. No matter what you want to do in life, you're going to fail a bunch and you're going to make a lot of mistakes no matter what. You're not going to start off perfect. So you just have to start. Whatever it is you want to do out there, Matt, Tammy, April, Ted, Tony, Michael, Sarah, whatever it is you want to do in life that you're kind of resisting or you're not doing yet, might as well start right now. Time's ticking anyways, whether you're ready or not, time's ticking. And a good friend of mine, actually a veteran, really cool guy, even though he's an Army guy, still love for the Army guys. He was like, hey man, he's like, you think you got time, but you don't. And I was like, hey, what are you saying? I'm all old? He's like, no. He's like, you just think you have time, but you don't. And he like stared me in the face, like he's gonna punch me. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll listen. It's that important to you. Like, and it is true. So I'll tell everyone right now, you think you've got time to do all the things you want to do? You don't. I highly recommend, there's a Regrets of the Dying by Bonnie. I can't remember her name right now. I'll look up the link, maybe Sarah, if you can find it. Regrets of the Dying by Bonnie Byware or something like that. She was a nurse and she spoke to people on their deathbeds for many years. And she wrote like the top things that people regret. And it was basically like not forgiving people, holding grudges, not living their life to the fullest, all that kind of stuff. Hey man, we can learn from the people that are dying. Don't wait till you're dying and be like, oh shoot, I wish I'd forgiven these people. I wish I'd done the things I wanted to do. Like, get after it. Like, you don't have forever on here. And so, you know what I mean? if you watch Hamilton, great, on Disney Plus, make your shot count, right? Or what does he say? I'm not gonna waste my shot. Like, get after it, dude. Like, you're not guaranteed anything. So go. And you know why? And also, you know why? Because other people are gonna be inspired by you. I saw something on Twitter the other day I really love. This guy said, you don't know out there who's watching you and who's inspired by you. So just go now and just keep going. So hopefully that helps you. That's it. Ronnie Ware. Regrets of the Dying. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah. Also, there's another amazing. Thank you so much for all that. We have another question, another potential question for Dave. What is your number one thing you hope to achieve if nothing was impossible to you? What do you want to fix?
More than anything else, I want to see my kids again. That'd be great. But obviously that's a selfish thing. But so forgive me for that one. But for the world, it would just be to let everyone know how important it is to find out what you're. In fact, this is there's a book called Aristotle's Way. I didn't read it, but I read the Cliff Notes version of it. And it goes like this. Aristotle thought that the most important way to have a fulfilled life was to find out your unique skills, talents, and aptitudes. That's called dynamis. And then energeia is the resourceful use of those skills, talents, and aptitudes, maxing them out in this world. And I would love for everyone to just realize like how important you are in this world and how much power you have in this world. And to find out what you're really good at, you can ask people that you work with or that you live with or that love you, hey, what are your favorite things about me? What are the most powerful things? For me, it turns out to be creativity, humor, and encouragement, enthusiasm, and energy. Chi, that's my little acronym for it. But so I try wherever I go, I try to give those things. Like I said, I'm not really great. I work for a tech company, but I can't code anything. Like I don't really know how to sell anything, but I know how to teach leadership. And so I just max that out wherever I go. I try to max that out and I try to learn as much as I can from everyone else around me. And so by doing that, and for people to really, I guess, empathy for me is the word of the year. If you can have empathy, it's kind of like feeling someone else's pain that as if it's your own. If everyone could really understand right now, especially in our country's all jacked up, but if everyone could understand, hey man, everyone's just afraid of something. And whatever they're afraid of, they may get violent, they may get angry, they may be doing something, but they're just afraid. And if you can understand they're acting through fear, usually when the people act poorly, it's because they're acting out of fear. Greed is a fear of not having enough. Jealousy is a fear of not having enough love. All the things come from fear, in my opinion, fear. So if you can teach people by encouraging them, adding courage to them, how to act not like that, teaching them with love and kindness and compassion and patience and humility and empathy and wisdom. Wisdom to me is the ability to be kind and generous no matter what is going on inside you, around you, or in your history. That to me is wisdom. So you can teach people with wisdom and help them get through that pain so they don't screw their life up anymore and screw up other people's lives. We're all gonna win. To me, when everyone on the planet knows how to do that, we win. Whatever, if like Elon Musk says we're living in a simulation right now, I don't know about all that. But to me, if there was a simulation, if everyone figures that out and everyone acts with kindness to everyone, like you still want your own things, you still can have a big ego like fighter pilots do, and you can still want great things and create awesome things. But as long as they don't negatively impact someone else, and if they do, you're willing to modify your behavior so you don't negatively impact someone else out. If everyone got that on this whole planet, I think like there's like ding, 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 we win. That's just my theory. Who am I? I'm not like a philosopher like Aristotle or Plato, but that's just my opinion. So those would be the two things that I would wish. One thing for myself and one thing for the world. How's that for an answer?
That is beautiful.
Beautiful.
Oh, go ahead, April. I'll piggyback on you.
I was saying that was beautiful. I was agreeing with you, Sarah.
Thanks, April. This is a lovely conversation. I really appreciate all the love. There was many years where I didn't get any love, so it's nice to get a lot of it now. But it's only because I'm teaching people something that I've learned through the hard way, through pain, through a lot of pain that I hope you never go through the pain I had to go through. It is terrible. One of the things, I know you want to say something, Sarah, but one thing that we had in the squadron I love was we had a thing called Approach Magazine where you could write an accident that happened freely, like no pain of retribution or reprisal or anything like that. So you could say, hey, here's something we learned from this terrible flight, either with accident or mishap or we almost died, so other people learn. That's kind of what I'm doing with this book. It's like, hey man, this horrible thing happened to me. Don't let it happen to you. And everyone's got something like that. So I hope that everyone finds the courage to share your story of what was messed up with you so that other people can learn from it. So they don't have to do it all themselves and just share it with no expectation of return. I give the book away for free, but my life is so gorgeous now. And I get like maybe 3 people have ever bought it on Amazon ever, but my life is so gorgeous because I wrote this book. Everyone's got something they can share and you can do it too. Just like in Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, you can wear the mask too. You can be a superhero right now. Nothing's stopping you. Just a leap of faith. Sorry, yeah.
I was just thinking, Dave, you are just a beautiful soul. You really are. I mean, I think just the things that are coming out of you, the things that you're wishing for other people, that mindset of just being the one who goes and is the giver and is the one who loves. And listen, I'm going to start losing it here too, but listen, love never fails. You will connect back with your kids. You will connect with they cannot refuse it forever. You just think long term, I'm just going to do something today or whatever. You keep on that track. Do not give up hope in that area either. You know?
I really appreciate
absolutely.
that. Patience is the key. Here's a great quote for you on patience, just in case anyone's having trouble with patience. I'm really not a very patient person, obviously. Like things happen right now. The quote I love is, I think Lao Tzu said it, muddy water, let stand, becomes clear. One more time. Muddy water, let stand, becomes clear. That's my little patience quote I say every day, because I'm not very patient at all. So I have to repeat it to myself until I kind of like, all right, fine, I'll wait this one out. Muddy water, let stand, becomes clear, Sarah.
Wow.
So anyways, there's that.
So I have a question.
Fire away, April.
You are just so selfless, and I just hear you not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
You know? So what do you do to recharge? Because you've got to take care of yourself to take care of others.
Great question. First of all, I'm probably the most selfish person in this room, April Knight. So I appreciate the love on that one. I've just found that like it's got to be balanced. People always ask me like, how do you balance two things? It's just like the throttles of an F-14 Tomcat. Stay with me, non-aviators. So there's two engines and each one has its own throttle. You can move them individually and you'll end up in a spin like they did in Top Gun. I was actually in an inverted. I actually ejected from an inverted flat spin. That's another story for another time. But so the key to me for balancing life is maxing both things out. So like maxing out courage and empathy. And then in the moment, you can adjust what you need. But you can't adjust what you need unless you've maxed them both out already. So I think it's fine to be selfish and have a big ego. I think it's fine. I think you should. Like Steph Curry says, my favorite player of all time, you should be your biggest fan and your harshest critic. But you also, in this case, must balance your love for yourself with an equal or greater love for other people. That's the key to success. That's the leap of faith that took me 46 years to figure out. That little gem is it's fine to love yourself and do all the things for yourself. But if you match it with an equal or greater love for the people around you, that's the key to success. It's hard to do. And especially with people like Matt Murphy, it's really hard to do. You're like, dude, maybe if there's one exception, this doesn't, no, but that's the way it is for everybody. But to your specific question about what I do for myself, there's another great quote by Blair Pascal, I think is his name, mathematician. And he said, I don't have this one memorized. I'm so sorry, but it's basically like the clear mind sees what it loves distinctly. And so I would encourage you to know exactly what you love. For me, it comes down to comedy, music, and knowledge. Those are the three things. And obviously camaraderie, community connection, all that stuff. I love all stuff. But for me personally, it's music. I love music. I have a playlist. By the way, Cloud Surf 14 on Spotify. I have a bunch of playlists for every emotion if you're interested. I got a lot of great music. I love it. So I've curated it all for you. It's all free. Obviously, I don't get money from Spotify, although they should sponsor me. But anyways, so there's that. And then comedy. I love comedy. Dave Chappelle's my favorite comedian. I would recommend everyone watch the Mark Twain episode on Netflix, where it's a documentary where he gets the award. You will have a different view of that man afterwards. He's actually seems really controversial and like he hates people and stuff like that, which is what he gets accused of all the time. He gets accused of being transphobic and sexist all the time. But when you watch the video, you'll hopefully discover what I've discovered about the man is that he loves everyone. He just uses comedy to get in your head to find empathy for other people. He's a beautiful man. I highly recommend Dave Chappelle, Mark Twain episode where he wins Comedy of the Year award or whatever on the Netflix. Greatest documentary I've ever seen in my life. And then knowledge, obviously, lifelong learning is the key to everything. The world's changing around you so rapidly. So how to thrive in chaos is airspeed is life is my little acronym. Lifelong learning, innovation, flexibility, and empathy. I'll explain flexibility first and I'll go back to lifelong learning. Flexibility, Genghis Khan said, the strongest part of any system is its most flexible part. Strongest part of any system is its most flexible part. And just like Bruce Lee said, be like water. And then lifelong learning is so key. If you stop learning, people are gonna lap you. I love basketball. I grew up playing basketball in New York City. There's a great shirt that says, right now, someone else is practicing out there right now while you're sleeping. And when you meet, he's gonna crush you. That's it, dude. Right now, someone else out there is getting better at whatever it is you're doing. And when you meet, he or she's gonna crush you. So you better be rocking and rolling. Like you've heard the whole expression in the morning, like the gazelles and lions, like you better, they're both waking up running. You better wake up running. You know what I mean? Like, let's go. And there's so much joy from the lifelong learning. You just get so much. And I'd encourage you to read nonfiction and fiction from all over the world and music from all over the world, because you'll just get so much knowledge and wisdom and love and energy from all different sources. It'll set you free. So hopefully that answers your question. Hopefully I got there on that one.
Thank you.
All right, April. Good. Thank you.
Or
for the
not
question.
again. I just said thank you.
No, thank you, April, because without a student, there's no teacher. So thank you so much for the opportunity to teach, and thank you all for the questions. It's been lovely.
Does anybody have any last thoughts before we say goodbye? This has just been amazing.
Thanks, Sarah.
Very encouraging. Yeah, I'll get specific too.
All right. All right, good.
Anybody else?
Remember, if you want to take a final pot shot at me, I've been shooting you all episode. You gonna take a pot shot? You can take.
No, I'll save it for Friday. No, because
Right,
you've been brilliant today. Truly, Dave. Thank you for sharing everything.
it's all love and respect, dude. I just tease you just because.
I got a shot for you.
You know I'm good for it.
All right, you're just an easy target. What's up, Mike? What do you got?
As a former aviation mechanic, it takes a college education to break in and a high school education to fix it. But I really love everything you said, man. Took lots of notes. I appreciate it.
Love that, dude. Love that. All love for the aviation crew, man. You guys kept us safe, and I would show up at the jet, and I would just pretend to be looking around, and there's some air crew from New York City, where I'm from, and they'd be like, "Sir, do you even know what you're looking at?" Like, I don't have any idea what I'm looking at. I have no idea. I'm just gonna walk around for a little bit, and we just sit and talk I'm just trusting that you. But that's one of the things too. Trust your teammates. Another leadership thing is like your people know what they're doing. You should obviously check some things are important, but you just trust your team, and you can get anything done. When you have trust and love for your teammates, and genuine respect for your teammates. Here's a great quote for you, Michael Parker. Are you ready for it? Best leadership quote I ever had, and I'm sorry for going a little time. Are we good to go over a little over, Sarah? Here's the quote. This is from The Servant as Leader by Robert Greenleaf. It's a little orange pamphlet. Highly recommend everyone read this book. Really short book. Excellent book. The interest and affection for his followers, which a leader has, and when genuine is a mark of true greatness, is clearly something the followers haven't to deserve. Great leaders may have gruff, demanding, uncompromising exteriors, but deep down inside, the great leaders have an unqualified acceptance and empathy for those that go with their leadership. That's basically, others said differently, love. I believe you should love your people with all your heart and try to leave them better off than when you found them in every way you possibly can, even when you're feeling like shit. That's what I believe. So Michael Parker, all love. Thanks for keeping the engines turning on that thing. And you're right. I have no idea what you guys do. I have no idea. So dude, thanks for keeping it humming, man. Appreciate it.
Anybody else before I say goodbye here? Yeah, Dave, I feel like I have gotten so much from like the first group and then now. I mean, just your experience. I'm so touched by so many veterans who come on and kind of share kind of what their life, the first part of their life was, and then maybe hitting rock bottom, and then just this gem coming out that actually is life-changing for other people. And that's what I see. Like, you just have been absolutely refined. And I think the heart and the love and the genuine desire to help others is so clear. And it's with so many great things to share. Like, I could not keep up with all your quotes. It's like, I'm going to have to listen to this again and then slow it down and stop it and write it down. And so it's just been a fantastic time. Thank you. Thank you for everybody else who has been on here too. And I'm your new supporter. I'm another one that wants to support you, Dave. And, you know, whatever I can do.
You've done more for me today than you could ever know. You never know how these things are going to turn out. I was super anxious when we first got here, obviously, but this group has been amazing. The questions you've asked have brought the best out in me. And so I appreciate the time and the energy and the attention because I think this turned out pretty good. And I think we can use this now. If it's okay with you, I'll put it on my little YouTube website, which I have 2 videos on, but I think this will really help other people too. So thank you for this opportunity. I hope the recording works. Oh, please, I hope the recording works. This came out pretty good. But if I could just say one more thing, Sarah, to everyone, if I could.
Sure.
I didn't start off like this at all. I'm more flawed than all of you put together. I promise you that. And so, but it's just a conscious, deliberate effort every day to get better, and then to get feedback on what you're doing so that you can just be a better teacher. To me, the best leaders are to me, teaching is the highest form of love, and leadership is the highest form of teaching. So if you're all out there listening, hopefully you are, you can do this too. You can wear the mask too. You can be this person that helps other people. And it's such a gorgeous life that I hope you decide to do it sooner than later. So much love and respect for all of you. Sour Coal, thanks for this opportunity. Love you guys.
Aw. Thank you so much, Dave. Thanks all. Have a great weekend. Love you all. Take care.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Matt Murphy,
Thanks
my
again,
guy.
Dave.
See you, Sarah.